What is up, everyone? Welcome to Mechs on Deck. Today, we are joined by Mr. MechMauler. How are you doing?
Doing well. How you guys doing?
Good, good. It's been a better day. Nice.
That's good.
Tomorrow's my Friday, so I
Same.
understand the same for you. So it's exciting. Having
Yeah.
Friday and Monday off is fantastic.
That's like the only one benefit of having a desk job is having holiday weekends like that.
Oh yeah, for sure.
What's this weekend that's coming up? I can't remember.
Something about independence and
Four,
America?
what 4-day weekend? What are you talking about? 4-day weekend. So no, guys, this is MechMauler. He is a fantastic streamer. He, as I was talking about last night, I kind of gravitate towards like following a streamer for a month. And this month I have been following MechMauler and following his streams, and he does awesome stuff. Doesn't hurt that, you had the squid. I usually will go check in, see how people like them. But yeah, so welcome to the channel, man.
Yeah, man, I'm happy to be here. I'm really excited.
Awesome. Just a quick shout out. We are sponsored and partnered by OmniType, Project Keyboards, Keys, Kinetic Labs, 3D Keybs, Type Beast, Smith & Rune, and Zap Cables. We'll hear more from them later. We typically like to start this stream off with a fast four, and we will kick that off with your top 4 favorite switches.
Right now, Zycos, I'm in love with them. And then Lavenders. Haven't tried the Anubis switches yet, but from what I have, they're like at my 4th spot right now and what I'm liking. And I'm gonna go with Dark Amber T1s.
Ooh, there you go.
I haven't seen much. I got those on my I have a little like fidget cube type thing, and I've got some holy dark ambers. I have all the pieces to them, but I just don't have a board to put them in quite yet. So I'm just like, one day. Have you tried them with have you tried the Anubis with a 69 gram symmetric spring yet?
Not yet. I did buy them though. I have them. I just have to get to putting them in something.
Hell yeah.
Dude, yeah, they're once you get the 69 gram symmetric springs in there, it feels like it feels just a little bit different. It's like a little bit better. It just takes it over the top,
snappier.
Yeah.
But I feel like that's kind of just symmetric springs in general. I'm like becoming.
I need to bring you the squid, or my squid 60. I put the 69 gram symmetric springs in I just went completely blank on the name, the Moyu Blacks. And it's like it's like a typewriter now.
Oh yeah, because the PBT housing is so loud.
It's loud, and then it's super sharp because it's sharper. The leaf makes it a lot sharper, and it feels like what a blueberry should have been.
Yeah,
and I think they're great.
Blueberries make me sad.
I love mine. I've got blueberries on that one, but I put a different spring
really
in it.
Good. Yeah, they just feel really good. I hate their sound. They're just no matter what I've done, I just can't get the scratch out, and that's all I hear.
I feel you on that.
But yeah, next up will be your top 4 favorite key sets.
Ooh, GMK Ursa, GMK Tarot. Can I do stuff that's not out yet?
Yeah,
absolutely,
for sure.
GMK Red Dragon. I think that's going to be beautiful, and then GMK Necro.
Hell yeah!
Ooh,
hell yeah!
I love Necro. It's on my think right now. I fucking love that set.
Dude,
so sorry, you go.
I was just gonna say, didn't someone sell a set of Necro for like $400 or $500?
Someone was offering to buy Necro for that much.
Good.
Which almost is worse.
I think it is.
Yeah,
it's become a kind of grail for people now, and I don't know how or why.
Because it's just, one, there's not many, right? There's not like a huge amount floating around. It's probably got, I would say it's got the outside of, once Dracula eventually ships, it's gonna have the most like history behind a keycap set. Because that and Dracula are like the two I think that are like, when I think of key sets that have a story behind them it's that one. But I think it's funny. I didn't know your top 4, and I literally have GMK Ursa on Zycos in a board. Like my one Zyco board has Ursas on it.
Yeah, Ursa's on my thermal right now with lavenders.
Ooh.
Yes, very bouncy.
Jedi Junior asks, "What's the story behind Necro?" Do you want to take this one, MechMauler?
I don't know the whole story. All I know is I remember the renders looked completely different than the final product, and the final product still has mistakes all over it. The accent arrow keys, the actual arrow doesn't match the alphas anywhere. They're black and everything else is gray.
I didn't even know that part.
Yeah, I saw that and I can't ever unsee it, and I will still use the arrow keys. I don't care.
Hey, I love it. No, so in short, the story goes that Necro they released the renders, and I wouldn't even call it it was like the renders that we have now are so much better than the
Yeah, it was the
renders we used
KLE
to.
for sure.
renders.
Yeah, the KLE renders, and it was like a pale blue and like off-white set that turned into this like navy and like like Scooby-Doo sea monster green set that, and of course the rest of that story is filled in with when people complained. The designer of the set made the infamous statement, "Well, it matches on my monitor and I had it professionally calibrated." And well,
And it was the second time this has happened.
the second time, and it was worse the second time.
Yeah.
And yeah, I don't know if she has been back to the community.
I think she might still be around, but I think she's like more silent. You know, there's a lot of people that are like that.
At this point, I would be forgiving because it's just been so long, and now there's color matching like people like Nebulant who like that's their keyboard job.
Mhm.
But I think it's just funny now. Like I didn't personally buy Necro, so I can understand how that Necro's where I put the like, okay, let's stop giving shit about that until we compare it to Necro when it's two different colors.
Yeah. And the other thing,
when people get mad about a set not matching, I'm like, well, it's not Necro, so let's calm down.
the other hilarious part about someone offering so much money for Necro is that it was still in stock and available for like years, like
Yep.
over a year, if not 2, after the group buy on online. You can still go pick it up for not that much more than group buy. So now that it's finally out of stock, I guess people are willing to pay a pretty penny for a set
I
that
want
is
to run it
envious or
again.
infamous.
Honestly,
Run it
people
again.
would love it. Run it again.
Let's let it ride.
That could be her like coming back party.
Exactly. Like how fucking own that shit, right? Be
Yep.
like Necro round 2. Let's fucking go. Like, and then on all the pictures only release like the actual renders like that it was supposed to look like. But then on the pictures of it on boards to the actual produced. That would be funny.
That'd be great.
Next up is your top 4 favorite keyboards.
Ooh. All right, I'm gonna be biased. I'm gonna say the Squid 60 is actually my favorite one right now. I like a stiffer typing feel, so this one just it crushes it with the Zycos.
That'll do it.
Yep. Then opposite direction, the Think V2. It's softer, but I like that one a lot. Then I'm gonna go with my Think V1. That was my first ever board. Has a very special place in my heart.
We're good.
Quick, we're good. We're
Yeah.
good.
Yeah.
We're
Okay,
good.
I saw that. Yeah.
Little lag.
Can you?
Wait. You're not good.
Think V2. That was my first gasket mount, and I really do like the mounting style now. Then I got to go Think V1. It's my first ever board. Even though it's integrated plate, I like it. And lastly, I got to go with the Vulcan Maja. That board surprised me. Yeah, my first Alice style.
Sorry, my internet was like fucking up that entire time. I don't know why, but it kept like going out for like a split second. So I missed
Your
all of that.
your
Oh no.
internet is pissed at you.
It's
It
mad because
knows. I know. It knows that it's about to get benched.
yeah. So
It's about to get forced into retirement.
can you go back through those 4 for me and for chat real quick?
Yeah, no problem. Squid 60, got being my number one right now. Love the stiffer typing feel. Then the Think V2 for gasket mounting. I like that mounting style now. Think V1, it's my first board, and I love it. And the Vulcan Maja. That just board just surprised me.
Hell yeah.
Yeah, that was one that I remember because that came out a while ago. That was announced for KBD fans a long time ago.
Yeah, I think it was
And
November.
yeah, and I remember because we had talked about how the Alice style was soon to become. This was when we had first started. How the Alice style board was soon to become just the that's just a normal layout. There's just
Mhm.
kind of synonymous with like a 60%. And and I mean, it really has now. Like you can find they've popped up everywhere. So and that was one. I mean, because that one has arrow keys, I believe.
Yeah, it does.
So it kind of expanded on that. But that layout, that ergonomic layout, is exploded in popularity since. And that whenever I think about, I mean, obviously the TGR Alice, and there was one board before that, but that was one that I remember being like, this is where the scales are about to start tipping towards this board being in many people's homes, as opposed to just the few that are willing to shill out money for a TGR.
Yeah, I'm not ready for that. I'm happy with my Maja. Maybe get a Bear 65, but other than that, I'm good.
It still bothers me that that's called the Bear 65, even though
It's a weird name.
like an Alice style board.
Yeah.
I don't know. You know what's weird is I just Googled the Maja because I wanted to look more, see if there's when actually it was like announced and stuff. There's people are selling things for keyboards on eBay now, which blows my mind.
No.
There's one on
I
eBay
don't
for
trust that.
$800.
That board was $300 in group buy. No, thank you. Like what?
That's crazy. It's crazy to me to think. And there's a Jelly Epoch.
The Jelly Prime or Epic?
Yeah, the 75% on
Okay.
$1,200 on eBay. Multiples
Jesus.
of them. What? Since when did I don't? Am I late to this party? When did eBay start becoming a place to sell like actual keyboard stuff? That used to not be a thing. You would only be able to find things on MechMarket.
I think it was a lot of it's flippers.
Probably true.
Because I know Keeb Noob informed me that there's a relatively big keycap market on eBay. Now keyboards, I don't know, but keycap market apparently it's pretty easy to go in. I imagine because it's searchable, it's a lot easier to just scroll
Unmoderated.
down. You're able to you can, if you already have an eBay account, if it might, going on Reddit and hoping to sell to someone might seem more sketchy than eBay. And I'm sure eBay. I haven't sold or bought on eBay in probably a decade, but I'm sure that there is like some sort of level of protection that eBay offers in buying and selling. So
Yeah.
lots of fake artisans too, apparently, according to that. I believe it.
Yeah, and Etsy too. I saw a ton of fakes on Etsy.
Oh, for sure. People being like,
Yeah.
"Ooh, I made this. Like, look at this." They're just
It's
hoping
like,
that
no,
normies find it.
yeah. I was like, no, that's a
Interesting.
Capora, sir. You did not design that cap.
I love it. I love it.
All right.
So-
Well, the last of the fast 4 will be the one that has nothing to do with keyboards. Your top 4 favorite foods.
New Haven style pizza, ramen, sushi, and I'm gonna go with good old fashioned barbecue.
There it is.
Did you say New Haven style
Yeah, New
pizza?
Haven style pizza.
What is New
Yeah.
Haven, Connecticut style pizza?
So it's just like really thin crust, and it's almost a personal pizza. Basically, I can eat an entire one in one sitting.
Okay.
Yeah. Barstool president came here and he did a thing like the one bite everyone knows the rules at like our biggest pizza place that does the New Haven style pizza,
Mhm.
and he couldn't pronounce the words hot oil, and I've hated him ever since. but everyone now knows what New Haven pizza is, or anybody who
So
follows
this
bar.
looks like a mix. This looks like someone was like, Mediterranean pizza is good, but I also like normal, like Americanized pizza.
Mhm.
So we're gonna just throw them together.
I was like,
That's what
sounds like
this looks like.
Neapolitan, but not quite.
Yeah,
Kind
but
of, not really.
it's like the crust is Neapolitan, but
Yeah.
everything else is straight like New York style.
Yeah.
So looks. I mean, now I just want pizza. So, well, again, guys, this is MechMauler. If you hit X, I'll type it in chat, but !guest, and you can go give him a follow. When do you stream?
Thursdays, 7 p.m. Eastern time.
There it is. So Thursday, 7 p.m. Probably why I'm able to watch you, because I have that night off. And so go follow him. He does some great content and has been growing the channel, and the quality's gotten better. I noticed you got the new mic set up and getting better. You got the RGBs in the background and everything. I love the background shot, like looking profesh.
I'm working on it. I'm working on getting a new camera. Right now I'm using my top down as my face, but I want to get a better top down camera. So that's the next thing for the stream.
There it is.
Speaking of that,
So,
two things, two questions just to get into it.
Mhm.
What got you into the community? And then what got you into wanting to stream keyboard content?
Got me into the community. So that was back in 2019, like September, October. And I was looking for a work keyboard. I wanted to have something I could program and put macros into. I'm an analyst, so like I deal with Excel program every single day, and I use a bunch of different formulas there. So I wanted something to make my life easier while I was working, like quick programs and things like that. And then I started looking at, I can't remember what it's called. It's or Osio board. It was like a wood plated Osio board, full style, and I was like, "This is cool." And then I came across Drop, and I saw the Drop keyboards with all the RGB, and I was like, "Oh, this is even better." So I bought one of those, and then I got hooked. It came with cherry blues, and I loved the feeling of them, but it came with so much ping. I could hear all the ping through the click. That's how you know it's bad. So I bought a Think V1 and I just fell in love with that board and just fell in love with the hobby. And I just kept going from there.
Oh,
Yeah.
Dave, you're muted.
Yeah.
when the Think V1 came out, it's quite interesting. I feel like that board gets overlooked a bit because looking back, I think the Think V1 had a huge to do with popularizing the 65% layout. It was already relatively popular. I'd argue to say, I mean, that's not even an argument at this point. 65% is the most popular layout in this hobby.
Sure.
And I think the Think board came out and really pushed that because it was an open-ended group buy. Right around that time was the time when it was 40 first come first serve, 50 first come first serve, and you couldn't get anything. And then this board comes. I knew a lot of people that got this board, and then they fucking delivered a solid board that a lot of people liked. And now I'm not going to say that board inspired other people to start making 65% because there was a lot of boards in that range that were starting to come out at that time. But, I'd venture to say that past, even in front of the Bauer and the Iron 165, that board did so much for pushing the 65% further just by getting them into people's hands.
Agreed. And it's like at a really good price too in group buy. Like back
Mhm.
then, it was a really great price. Now most 65s go for about $100 more than what it did at that time.
Mm-hmm.
Especially at the time too, it had so many options that you could get, which was really cool.
Yeah, the badge, and then you could get it without the badge, and badge colors, and they killed it on that board.
They did. And I think it was like the first one of the first interchangeable badges besides like the 910, for example. And it had an interchangeable back weight too. You could change out the colors on that, and they had a bunch of different colors. Yeah, they killed it.
They killed it. So you're into keyboards. You get your fancy boards, and then you start. I imagine you probably saw someone stream at some point. and then you thought to yourself, I should get into that. So what led to that decision? What stream were you watching where you were like, man, that seems like a fun idea. I want to build boards.
Alex Odos.
There it is.
I was one of his actually very first subscribers. I hold that badge with pride. I love that man, and he has just been so nice and kind. And talking to him made me want to be more involved. It made me want to get into it. Like I made an Instagram that I'm trying to grow, and I'm taking better photos now than I think I've ever had before. And I just started doing that. And then in October, November, I made a TikTok and I started growing that. And once that blew up, I was like, all right, fuck it. People actually kind of like me. Maybe I should start streaming. Maybe we should give it a shot. And I'm a sociable person, so I like talking to people. I'm comfortable in front of the camera. So I said, let's do it. Let's just go for it. And if it works, if I'm good at it and people like me, awesome. I consider that a success. I don't care how big I get. I don't care if I ever make affiliate. I don't care if I ever make partner. If people just want to come and talk to me, I consider that a success.
There you go. Going after it for the right reasons.
Yeah.
Doing it for the fun, not for viewers, money, or anything, or clout. I think that's the
Yeah.
other piece. People try to get into streaming, especially as the community grows. People start trying to get into streaming for not necessarily the right reasons. Um, so yeah, it's really cool to hear someone that's just like, dude, I just want to have. I enjoy it. I think I'd be fun at it. I think I'd bring something to the table. I'm just gonna go for it.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. So I want to ask about TikTok because we haven't had anybody on here that has really been. If they are on TikTok, it's I have it like Mex on Deck has a Twitter account.
I thought you were gonna say we had a TikTok, and I was gonna be like, what?
No. I don't have it. I have nothing against TikTok. Neither of us are. We did the ban thing for so long that I think we both just got burnt out on like we have to push socials as hard as humanly possible. Would we have maybe more followers? Yeah, probably, but you have to, neither of us are doing this with the hopes and intentions of going, let's do this full time. I think there was a time at first where we'd be like, it'd be really cool to do it. Now it's like, let's just turn this into the best hobby we can make it. But TikTok is something new, and it baffles me that there are people popular on TikTok for keyboard stuff that don't even have like a YouTube or a YouTube or a Twitch channel. They just TikTok. So please open our minds to the world of the keyboard TikTok realm.
How do I explain this? It's very like right and left sided. So you'll have a lot of us, like the older generation on TikTok and the keyboard hobby, who are trying to progress it on TikTok and trying to, be smart and be educating and like inform people about like the keyboard hobby in the best way that we can. And then you have like people who are the exact opposite of that and who will justify clones and say, fuck it, just buy this cheap keyboard from Amazon. You don't need to get into the nicer things, and they'll go through all the negatives of the hobby and none of the positives of the hobby, and they'll just bash and bash and bash until the cows come home, until they're red in the face. But there is like a light at the end, and that's mostly because of the younger kids. Like, I'm going to be honest, there's a lot of younger creators on TikTok who I feel like haven't been led in the right direction or talked to properly. Because I've seen this a lot in the last like week or two. A lot of younger creators are just bashing each other rather than talking to each other and having a actual conversation about where to go from here and why some things are right and why some things are wrong and what they can do to be better. So TikTok's a very weird thing to navigate and get through, but I do see a lot of younger creators there, and I see the hobby going in a good direction if they continue doing what they're doing. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy because TikTok is it. I feel like a boomer whenever I start talking about TikTok because I'm like never downloaded it. Every TikTok I see is like a repost to like either YouTube or Instagram, or it's on like a stream where they're showing one talking about it. But it's like it is insane the viewership that TikTok gets. Like people will just blow up overnight on TikTok. And it's crazy the like age range that it appeals to now. Like even the fact that
Mhm.
it appeals to someone as young as, 10 all the way up to, like there's my old boss at my work, she has TikToks and she's in her 40s. Like it's crazy. It's
Yeah.
I've never seen social media take off quite in that same way.
Yeah, and it's just a goofy thing to me because, I will say there is a an art to making popular, like, 30-second long clips.
Hmm.
The funny thing about TikTok that I see is like, oh, this guy's got 800,000 views. I'm like, oh, okay, but like it's a 20-second clip, so yeah, of course it's got 80,000 views because
Right.
someone strolled past it or it blew up on Reddit, and so like the view thing doesn't make sense to me because people will treat TikTok views and YouTube views or Twitch views as the same, and I'm like, that's
Right.
anyway. Moving on.
But that is how
But
TikTok pays its creators, by the view.
yeah, which is
Yeah.
impressive, which is
Yeah.
really impressive. But no, it's sad that you say that there are content creators out there that are bad mouthing each other because while we haven't, I don't think we've been in a feud with content creator. I joke with Lang all the time that I'm like, we need to like start some shit together. If it's like a slow week and nothing's really happening, I'm like, let's just start an argument. But like, well, from content creator to content creator to content creator, a lot of us know what it takes to do this and what the end goal of content creation is, which is to grow this hobby. And people don't want to see people arguing with each other.
Right.
People don't want to see it's fun to look at, it's like driving by a car wreck, right? It's fun to look at, but then you drive by and you completely forget about it. And that's not how you're going to grow the community. And so it's sad to see that these people are, I don't even know what are you even lashing out? I guess because we'll get into what people shouldn't buy and that argument later. But yeah, that's just baffling that there's like a whole section of this hobby that I have no clue about
Mm.
and no experience with, that there are, feuds happening. I'm like, God, now I should like go follow keyboard TikTok stuff and watch the feuds explode.
Dude, yeah.
Yeah. It's mostly over clones too, and what people consider better than other things. Like what switches are better than other switches. Like no one just wants to have a civil conversation, or just say the word preference and be and the end of the argument.
Yeah, that's because I guess let's get into clones. All right,
Mhm.
you have an you have an Instagram.
Yep.
We have an Instagram. The amount of times we have been hit up to review a product, or the ones that always make Eric and I laugh the hardest are the people that are saying, "Send me your products and I'll review them." I'm like, we don't, like, Mex on Deck doesn't have like products. Like we kind of do now with the Anubis Switch, but we don't personally sell that.
Right.
um, but I've seen we've gotten the messages of like, oh, I'm a TikToker with this many views and we should work together and stuff like that, which most of the time we just ignore. But um, who's to say that a company that's making clones and making a significant amount of money is not going, hey, you've got a decent TikTok following, here's $500 and promote my products. And
Yeah.
to someone who it might be 20 years old, looks at $500 and goes, fuck yeah, I'll go on there and say, hey, this shit's awesome and you should buy it. And that just creates a whole nother storm of, a storm of ass. That's what we'll call it.
Feel like
Yeah. No, it's definitely gonna happen. If not already happening. Like
Yeah.
there's so many creators out there, and even if you follow the right hashtags or follow the right people, the algorithm will never pop them out to you anyway. So there are definitely creators out there that get like not clone sets, but like the cheapest sets imaginable and profit off of it for
Mhm.
sure. And there's nothing wrong with the cheap sets. Absolutely nothing wrong with them as long as they're not clones.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's like what we talked about last night of like, we wouldn't have an issue with HK Gaming if they were just doing sets that were like community classics in a sense, like a 9009 or
Hmm.
a modern Dolch, or not modern Dolch, Dolch, um, but or black on white, white on black, like some of that stuff. Like you can even get fancy and do sub legends and stuff. But like the fact that they're going out of their way to do full on clones, not even changing the name. Like what was that one site that we were looking at a couple months
Couldn't
back?
tell you. Couldn't tell you. But yeah,
Oh,
I know
I
what
watched that episode. I remember.
It was like
Like
all the
GMK
weird
Merlin
names.
was there.
yeah,
Yeah.
Merlin, who hadn't even shown up yet.
Right.
We have a couple people asking if you can see chat.
I can see chat. Yes.
Okay, because a couple people are like, "Oh my god, he can't see chat." um. So, yeah, it's clones are going to happen, right? Every hobby is going to have them. As we talked about it last night. With the amount, every single hobby, Eric and I were into, vape mods, and those are just clones left and right. Shoes, clones left and right. Now we're getting keyboards and key sets, and the only good thing about the fact that is they're not cloning like this is a GMK keycap set. And I think that's where a lot of people get their righteousness is, well, it's not, I'm just making a different keycap set. They're not like trying to sell it as a one-to-one. They're not trying to sell it as something else, but they've stolen a design and profiting it from it, which is still rough. And you had mentioned last night that you deal with SEO, and how Eric brought up the fact that, yeah, like if someone looks up Olivia keycap set and then they see Amazon.com, next thing you know, they might be buying that set instead of supporting the hobby.
Right.
So from your point of view, as your experience in SEO, how can that like affect long term? Because I don't know anything. Please teach me about. I know what it means, and I have a short understanding of it, but in terms of how much travel it can get and how just being one down can affect your business.
Right. So I'm a search engine marketing analyst, and I deal in SEO and SEM every waking day. The thing is, and I feel like this is the problem with our hobby. Once the group buy is over, do the vendors still try to do what they can to optimize their web page, to market their web page? Like, is it worth that investment once their group buy is done to continue to put hours and work in there so theirs is number one on their page? That's the question I have for the vendors, because it's like, on the one hand, yes, it does. It matters because it promotes the actual product. But on the other hand, that's time spent that they could be spending on whatever's currently live and what's going to be live rather than what was. So like that's where HK Gaming is profiting, and that's where they're taking advantage of our vendors and hurting our hobby, because they're just going into this saying, "Oh, the group buy is over," or in some cases, the interest trek hasn't even run yet or just started. So they're trying to get ahead of the interest treks, and they're trying to take advantage of the past group buys. Um, and it would be worth it for vendors to do it, to spend that extra time, but how are you going to do that? Because you have all these other moving parts going on right now: live group buys in production, going through color checks, talking to new designers, talking to board designers and board vendors. So there's so much other things going on that I feel like that is the one thing that falls behind, and that's when HK Gaming wins.
It's frustrating when you search like even like GMK thing suit and you get like a ton of stuff from like Banggood or AliExpress. And I was looking at him the other night with 159. We were
Mhm.
looking at online and he's like, dude, these colors are awful. Like, and that's the thing, is like it sucks because then there's people who may not even, that's the other piece, is these are people who may not even understand that what they're buying is not the actual product that they're intending
Mhm.
to get, or may not understand the differences, and they're just like, oh hey, this is available and it's like $60 or less,
Mhm.
and I can get it, in a week or 2 or 3 weeks if it's coming all the way from China. Like, and it sucks, man. And I don't know how to fix it. And
Yeah.
I don't know.
Mhm.
Yeah, there's not really a way, and what sucks too is like let's take black on white, right? Just plain black on white. We've got GMK minimal, we've got GMK bleached, we've got the other one that Mito did that is like a Life Aquatic, or the Life Aquatic themed one.
Hennessy? No, that wasn't
Hennessy.
Hennessy. No, I think Hennessy was the black on white one, right?
Yeah, it was
Yeah,
black on, yeah,
yeah,
black on.
Hennessy. Yeah, Hennessy. Okay, so yeah, so
It
black
was
on white.
Hennessy.
So
Okay.
bleached, 3 sets, very similar. No, it's they are a couple of them are different types of white,
Mhm.
but that's not something you can claim as your own, right? It's like, okay,
Right.
literally you can't get mad at me for making a black and white set. Um, and when a company goes out and says, "Hey, we noticed that there's this huge missing piece," and and even going as far as to taking a set like monochrome, or where black mods and white alphas, and
Mhm.
going as far as going, hey, we're making this to kind of mix it up now. Well, that's not really stealing, because you're taking 2 colors and putting them on in a different orientation. And
Right.
that's where I'm like, okay, yeah, if you did that, you're not stealing. Yes, there are other options, and yes, that might take away from minimal, but minimal and bleached and Hennessy run the risk of another key set coming in and going, well, we're just going to do the exact same thing, because you have no right. Now, some of those sets have, like Hennessy obviously has a few novelties, and that's where that would get tricky. But if you're just looking for a plain black on white or white on black set, I want there to be multiple options of those, because that's a great place to start,
Right.
as those key sets usually work on something. But what sucks too there is you don't want to send someone and go, oh well, this company has black on white, and then you're all of a sudden you're supporting a company that also has um, a bunch of clones, and you don't want to send people to the problem.
Right.
And it just drives me crazy that I wish there had been, we've been trying to, the hobby's been trying to move forward in regards to having more in stock items and more cheaper options available for the basic colorways. And I think that's great, but other companies are beating it. They're
Yeah.
beating
Yeah.
the vendors, right? And it sucks because they're not doing it in the best of ways.
Right. I was on TikTok and I was explaining to a kid about drop and how they're able to keep G&K laser in stock, even though we all know that's eventually going to run out. But I explained to him that since drop sells other things like headphones, for example, they're able to keep money flowing into them and investing into more and more extra sets of any GMK set they produce.
Mm-hmm.
And GMK doesn't give a fuck if they buy 3,000 sets or 1,000 sets. They get paid either way. And they
Yeah.
don't care if those sets sit in Drop's warehouse. They get paid either way. So I think that's the only solution we possibly have as regular vendors is getting in the basic sets like black and white, white and black in like a cheaper PBT, for example, just to have it in stock and be able to make some money so that they can buy more extras and then eventually get to that level where we have like 1,000 extra GMK sets and we roll them out like Drop's been doing every other week or something like that. You know, like
Mm-hmm.
that's a solution. It's gonna be a hard solution to do for most vendors because that's a huge amount of money up front that they will not see again for probably 2 years
Yeah.
at the rate GMK sets are going.
I was just thinking, I was like, in a lot of different other industries that are where companies have to work together in order to make things happen and to get things done.
Mhm,
Um, it would be cool to see like vendors, and it does happen with certain things, like certain products you don't realize, like certain vendors will be the sole sole owners of certain like switches or certain things
mhm,
like that. It would be cool to see like the biggest North American vendors maybe group up together and be able to purchase like 5 sets and purchase like a shit ton of them in PBT in order to keep those in stock and basically like really build a huge relationship with a company like what Drop has with GMK, because Drop is doing revolving orders where it's just like it's just basically they're on retainer at
Yeah.
this point with these
Yep.
sets.
Because they
And
can, because they have the money.
yeah, because they confront that kind of money and they know they'll get it back eventually. Drop's always
Yep.
been that. Like, you go
Yep.
back years ago when they used to do their like keycap recaps is what they used to call
Yeah.
them, where it was like 3 times a year they would just drop all of their extras at like insane prices too. It would be like below group buy or right at group buy, and you could get everything and it'd be up for like an hour and a half because they don't really care. They make so much money in other places that it's like,
Yeah.
as long as we can get, like, as long as we don't lose money, we're good, you know?
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think I remember reading where someone in Drop said, "Yeah, we just like found these shelves where like overflow storage," and that's typically what happens is whenever, if a number gets put in wrong and there's 25 sets left over, we just go dump it in that, and then once those shelves get full, we're just like, all right, let's move them all out
Oh my
and
God.
sell them and blow it out. But you know what I see a company like Omnitype, right? Who Garrett has designed 3 sets now for his for Omnitype, and 3 GMK sets,
Yeah.
and with Redacted and 8008. If you want to call 4 with 8008 Blue Edition, and then Dual Shot.
Didn't he design Redline too?
Yeah, and Redline. Yeah, I completely forgot about Redline. So 4.
Yeah.
Where I'm like, that's something where I'm like, man, I know he wants to release Bowers and he wants that project to start pumping out so we can get boards coming out to people. But that's something where it's like, man, you got 4 keycap sets where you could make these purchases of 2,000 kits each, and they guaranteed 8008 would sell out.
Oh, easy.
Guaranteed that set would sell out. Redacted might be a little bit more difficult, but a lot of people did like it. Redline and Dual Shot I think would sell out too. Redline, I don't know because we haven't seen it yet, so people haven't gotten as hype about it. But that's where when I look at a situation like that where Omnitype is very much one of the most like DIY vendors in this hobby, where I'm like, man, I know why you don't do it, because that's a huge risk of 4,000 keycap sets just sitting in your warehouse not making you any money, and then on top of that, like you said, waiting 2 years for that, there's just money you don't have anymore.
Mm.
But yeah, it sucks because there's not a good way to. And then and the other issue here is color matching, right? When you go to PBT, it's different, and now you have to color match something different, and now it's not exactly the same thing. I remember Langlandia talked about this with Cafe. He did Infinity Cafe, and he's like, it's the closest, but it's not. If you want, like, my vision was done through GMK. My closest and best effort was done through Infinity.
Weren't the mods just completely different color on Infinity?
Yeah, they wound up turning out rough.
Yeah.
Like, they were like a lot lighter, and he wasn't happy about it, but he was like, listen, I did my best.
Yeah.
But it's a different material and a different way of getting those colors. So, but moving on to a lighter topic. So how have you been enjoying streaming? You've been going at it for a while now, and what I like, and what we kind of talked about right before the stream started, is you're on a schedule, and you're not showing up 15 times a week trying to burn through every single build, and you're genuinely just a fun guy to watch. So how's it been streaming and growing your channel and facing those challenges?
Yeah, it's been good. When I first started streaming, I think it was November of 2020. It was like right after Thanksgiving. So when I built my Maja, I was really inconsistent, and part of that was I was streaming with 2 different webcams, and that was it. Like, I didn't have an actual camera to stream with, so I was like almost embarrassed to stream. I loved it. I had so much fun doing it, but the boards looked so much better than they were actually showing up, and I wanted to do justice to the creators of both the boards and the keycap sets. So I was a little inconsistent at first until I got the camera, like literally 2 weeks after I started streaming. Like I didn't stream for 2 weeks until I got the new camera, set it up, and then I started going from there like once a week at the very least. But it was inconsistent at first. Like I wasn't always Thursday at 7. Sometimes I would do like Friday or Saturday afternoon because I was trying to get into that rhythm. And the big thing also was work. Normally I work 9 to 5, but some days I'll be on until 6, 7. I was on till 8 like 3 times in the last like 4 weeks. So like that was the next step for me. Like which day in my work week is the best day for me where I know I will be done at 6 o'clock at the very latest and I can set everything up for stream at 7. So that was the next challenge, and that's what I've been sticking with ever since. Like Thursdays at 7, because Thursday is my big meeting day at work. So once that's over, I have nothing else to do for the rest of the week, basically.
Hmm.
So that is how I planned my streams, and now I'm seeing the growth. Now I'm seeing people are coming in, and I have a great uh following, a great fan base who come in all the time, and we just talk. Like it doesn't even have to be about keyboards. I found out one of my followers lives down the street from me just from talking to him for like 2 minutes. It was great. Yeah, now I'm growing all the peripherals around the stream to make it better. Like I want to provide a quality stream to the people that are giving their time to me to watch me stream. So like I just upgraded my mic like 2 weeks ago. I'm working on a new camera upgrade, and then we're gonna do better lighting in here as well because my lighting here is a little shitty. But I try to do what I can to at least make it enjoyable for everybody. Even if it looks like shit, I just want to have fun with everybody and have a good time with everybody. So that's been my main focus, and I think that has really provided the growth because now I'm seeing more and more people all the time, and people I haven't talked to in like a year in the hobby have watched me stream, and we just shot the shit for like 20 minutes. Last week, I had two people at my stream. One of them was a dear friend of mine, and we just shot the shit for 20 minutes. Like I didn't even give like I stopped looping switches at some point, and we just talked.
That's awesome though, because it's that's a big piece that we've talked a lot with different creators is doing it in a way where you have fun, like
Yeah,
not caring about numbers, follower count, the impressions, like putting all that aside and just enjoying it.
yeah,
Because when you do enjoy it, the content comes easy and people want to be a part of it because they see this is a legitimately cool dude he's just shooting the shit with his friends and I can be a part of that. I come around and I can get involved and I can become a part of it. And that's like the best streamers is the one who make you feel like you're you're part of this and you're like able to interact and able to um kind of feel their personality in a sense,
mhm, mhm,
which I think is a big thing about like streaming is getting your personality out there and just not trying to change too much.
yeah,
I think a lot of people come on to streams and they try to they have too much of a persona. Like it's one thing if that's your whole shtick, like your Doctor Disrespect level, like that's your thing. But like if you're like you can be a more animated version of yourself. You still want to be yourself.
right, exactly.
You
Yeah,
gotta
that's what I'm
you got
definitely
you
doing.
gotta zhuzh it up just a little bit,
Yeah.
just a
Yeah,
smidge. But
like when I
um,
accidentally break a switch. I'm not doing that on purpose.
oh
It's
yeah, I
my
mean
zhuzh.
that's the just that's, yeah. I think I honestly can't remember a time where like I did a build stream where I didn't drop something. Like just at every single stream, no matter what. It's like,
Yep,
well, there that goes
always.
every single time. But no, um, that's, and I'm sure Odos told you that as well. It's like, oh, people are showing up for the personality. He's big on
Yep,
the word
yep.
personality. Um, and that, yeah, that's, you can't build keyboards repetitively and expect people to show up if you're boring, right? Or if
Yeah,
you're monotone and not monotone, but like just flat personality, and you can't capture anything unless you're getting like these ridiculous every single boards of proto. Then you're not going to be able to create a following. And I would rather watch the one guy that's entertaining that has 3 followers than watch the person that doesn't say or acknowledge chat or say anything for 3 hours and just talks about themselves and that person and doesn't have anything interesting to say, and then you're like, I just wasted my time. 'Cause that's the worst part, right? You don't want to be the person that wasted everyone's time
Right.
after
Yeah.
2 hours. So I'm you're one of the first people I've talked to that's relatively new that has said like every single good buzzword about streaming ever, which is like, I'm not doing it for money. I don't care about this. I don't care about this, but I do have my schedule and I do this. And I'm like, damn, this guy like went through the checklist.
It's just, I don't know. I just that's just what I like. I'm just here to have a good time and talk to people in the community. And if somebody tells me and somebody hits the subscribe button, great. I don't care. Like that's not what I'm here for. It's not what I want. Like my following is like some of the nicest guys. Two guys in my chat made me a Discord while I was streaming and didn't tell me about it until the very end of the stream. And now I have a Discord, and now I get to talk to them on a different level as well, not just in the streaming level. And I've really enjoyed that too. But like that part, I almost cried on stream when they told me that. I got emotional as fuck because I was like, "You just saved me 3 hours of work, and this was the nicest thing you could have done."
Yeah, they were talking about it. Tyler Keys was talking about how they did that for you and they were excited.
Yeah.
Tyler,
Yeah.
post the link to the Discord so people can join. I don't have treats in here right now. Soon. In a little bit. But well, shout out to Tyler Keys for being the realist. So I want to pick your brain about some keyboard things now. Enough about streaming. All right, enough about streaming. What is something that has happened, like keyboard trend in the last year that has happened, or last 2 years, basically since you started, that you wish would go away?
Flippers. I just want that to die. Like, I just want them to just go away because it's just not right. Like, I love what Omni did for GMK Terra extras to prevent flippers. I just wish I knew about it ahead of time so I could have bought Terra with the dragon, the square and stuff. Yeah, those people just bother the crap out of me so much. Yeah, that's kind of the thing. That's what I want that to go away. It wasn't bad when I first joined the hobby, but it's gotten tremendously worse thanks to COVID. Like,
Dude,
I think people lost their jobs and just started flipping like crazy.
I've heard different people, like I'll go into different streams and stuff. I've heard different people who are streaming that are like talking about purchasing products as investments in terms of like flipping. And I'm like,
Yeah.
that just blows my mind because I'm like, I never thought about that. I never think about that because when I first got into the hobby and Chewy first got in the hobby, it was like boards sold for maybe like 10, 15, maybe 25% above what group was. Like it was a reasonable where you look at it and you're like, okay, it makes sense that person needs to recoup, group buy plus shipping and maybe make a little bit. Whereas now it's like 400, 500% markup. Good God.
Right. Like, Iron 165 is a grail board for me. I can't afford $1,000 for a keyboard just on a whim, just because someone's selling it. Like, I can't do that. But I want it, but I'm not going to do it. I'm going to pray to God I get a polycarb version, and that's it.
Yeah, it's polycarb version is pretty fucking sick, by the way. But yeah, that's because I remember Eric came up and he's like, I think I might start buying like one of every set. Because at the end of the day, I'll at least make my money back if I don't like it. But they're hard to get on the aftermarket.
Yep.
And then you buy maybe then it creeped up to where it was like two, and he was like, I could still afford to buy two because then you just buy both and then you keep the one you like.
Yeah.
And then like 3 months later, it was like Eric's like, I would never be able to do this anymore. It's like, oh, there's 8 sets running now. It's like, yeah, you're done.
Yep. No. I remember when I first joined, I had Terra, Dracula, and DualShot back to back to back, and I was like, my wallet can't do this. Like, this is bad.
Yeah. And did you get Dracula?
I didn't. I actually didn't get any of them because I thought
it's so good because neither of them.
Well, when I first joined the hobby, I thought it was kind of like a Kickstarter. So it was like funding it to get it made and then it be an in-stock product. GMK Metropolis, I blame for that too because it was in stock for so long after in extras. That's how I got
So
my set.
baffling.
That's how I got my set. So that kind of made me think that that's how this thing worked, and it's not. And I missed out on 3 beautiful sets,
It
especially
happens.
Terra. I'm still upset.
It happens though. There'll always be something else. I think that's my big thing
Facts.
too, with like going back to like the very original talking about the cloning thing is like people get those sets because they want a certain look when it's like
Mhm.
there's going to be something coming out that's more hype. You know, there's
Right.
always new stuff. Like
Right.
the boards that I was into in 2018, 2019, I'm not really into as much anymore. Like
Right.
I have an Orange 75. That was a board I really loved. That was one of the very first boards that I was like, I really want this. I followed it from interest check, did the form. I don't do forms. Forms don't matter
Right.
anymore, but I didn't do forms and I did the form and I ended up getting one. And now I don't, it just sits in my closet. I should sell it, but don't sentimental. But yeah,
You don't you don't like selling keyboard stuff. I think you've sold one keyboard since you and I both started.
yeah, I have. I sold my
Yeah.
TX60 and that was it.
Yeah.
I'm thinking about selling some of mine, but at the same time, like I can't part with them. Like it hurts my heart to part with any of them because I
It
put
does.
like a lot of labor into it, a lot of love.
That's how I feel because now that I've got 3 boards that are mine. Like I'm like, well, I can't get rid of those. And then some were, like the bumper, which the bumper is like low key, this just fucking badass 60% keyboard. Then like that one's got, the Mechs on Deck logo on it, and the Saturn 60 was a gift, and I'm not gonna sell a gift. I
Right.
might give it away, but I'm like, it's too fucking cool to give away. So a lot of the stuff where you're just kind of stuck in the situation where you're like, well, that's got that story behind it, and that's got that story behind it, and now I've got 11 keyboards.
Yeah, that is what's happening right back here. You can see them all. I can never get rid of my Think V1. Like I don't care what anybody offers me for that board. That was my first board. I will be buried with it if I have a choice. Like it's never leaving.
Do you still regularly bust it out and use it?
I do. Yep.
How
I have
often?
tangerines in there.
How often do you
Every couple of
switch?
weeks. How often I swim? Usually like every other week, every 2 weeks or so. I've been really loving my squid, so I haven't taken off my desk since I built it. Um, I really like the Zycos. Like I've kind of fallen in love with the Switch. I just wish I didn't break 50 of them when I was building it. But other than that, I love
it's a rite of passage.
it is. What
I
I showed Dutch what I did to the center post of a lot of my switches. I busted a hole through them, and he couldn't believe me. He didn't believe me until I showed
when
him photos.
when our buddy Rick did that, we were like, "What?" It
That
was
was
like
the reaction.
added on the list of shit that you have to talk about with psychos. It's great once you get them in a board. Don't touch them ever again.
Oh, I have zero intention.
Yeah, because your iron, the Iron 165 board, that was hard to watch when it was
Dude,
like, I'm gonna take it out as carefully as and it exploded.
they're like it would, but I think okay. So anyone in chat who is interested in making Zycos, I would try to steer clear of using drop holy pandas in order to do that. Especially
Mm,
if you have like old, like the original runs. There's something about those housings that are just worse. Because my failure rate of the tops of those was way higher. Because before I rebuilt the board and I changed them over to the Glorious Panda tops, I had already replaced like 15 switch tops. And then I had at least another 25 that broke just by taking the keycaps.
mm.
Yeah.
So, yeah. But
I had a
So
lot of broken legs too.
currently the top part of my caps lock key and my key colt is broken. And I literally can't take the keycap off without breaking the switch. So it just sits, and I'm like, I hope I never have to change. Holy shit,
Oh.
Artisan Labs, thank you for the 5 gifted subs. Hell yeah. Also, Clatco, thank you for the subs. Thank you. Hell yeah.
Love you, artist
I don't
labs.
have any more red yaks. I have one. I have one, and I'm like, okay, I would have to put that in and then like go find red yaks because those don't really exist. And
You can
go
get them at
get.
Ultra Supply.
Oh well, shit. Maybe I'll look it up. But
I think they have
man,
all the variants.
so it was one of those. Yeah. Well, holy fuck. All right. And they're unavailable at the moment. But
Damn, but they
I'll have
restocked.
to. All right. Well, I'll have to hit those up because I need like I like to have like 10 of every Switch. Like the other thing that I'm worried about is I've had my original Jesus Switches that are in my main Baka. I only have like 6 of those left. And those were going to be even harder to sell because that was like a Google form group buy through GeekHack.
Oh,
So
I don't
it's
think I've ever heard of those switches.
they were
It's like the
They were the
original new Holy
comeback.
Panda.
Yeah, they were the comeback tour.
Gotcha.
And then because like Yacht showed up right after, and Drop showed up in the middle of it, and it was an interesting time. But yeah, that's fucking. I really hope you like the 69 gram Anubis because after typing on these for what 5 days now, I'm excited to. It's gonna be hard to put this board away, but I'm really excited to switch from this straight into Zycos. Because that'll be like a good test of like, okay, which do I like more? Because I think these are going to sound a little bit better because Zycos, while they do sound better than Azaleo, they still are not the best sounding Switch out there. So very excited. So that was your least favorite. Your least favorite was flipping. What is your favorite thing that has happened since starting the hobby? Your favorite trend?
Oh man, I would say the growth of key set designers. I'm seeing a lot more of them, and I like it because I think when I first joined, it was all the same people. I saw a lot of the repetitive sets. Like I saw Rensuya all the time. No disrespect to Rensuya, he's a genius. But I'm seeing like new people. Like 2 of my friends have just designed sets that are going into group buy like in the next couple of weeks, and there were people I met when I first joined the hobby, and they were just like the casual hobbyists. Like GMK Egyptus is going live next week on Mexico. Beautiful set. I'm very proud of Savage Astronaut and the work he's done for that. And then there's a kid. Like I met him. He was like 15 when I met him, and he designed GMK Luna. So like, I'm seeing a lot more younger generation starting to do things, and I really like that because it tells me the hobby's going in a good direction. There's a young guy who does a lot of renders, and his renders are gorgeous, and he's like 15, and he just does it for fun, and he does it to help out his friends, and it just shows me that we even though we do have our bad apples, especially in like some younger kids, there is still a very bright future here, and that's a good thing that I'm seeing in the last like 6 months since I started streaming.
It really is cool to see because it felt like for a time in the hobby we were gonna kind of lose uh, the community driven aspect of it of like keycap sets, keyboards, and like you know it was gonna be vendors basically putting designers on retainer in order to keep them from going somewhere else, going to another vendor,
Mhm.
and that hasn't happened, which is nice because now you can just do something. You can say, "Hey, I want to do this." If you put in the time, the effort to get it done, and to get a nice interest check together, uh, it can happen in just a couple months. Pretty
Yeah.
crazy.
I think I've only ever heard of one vendor hiring designers on retainer, and I think I think was it Canning Keys?
Yeah,
Yeah,
Cannon Keys and
Rinsuya.
Rinsuya.
Yeah, and I think he has a
You can
couple.
argue Drop and Mito.
Yeah.
Like I think that's a very close partnership.
Yeah,
Omnitype hired Garrett. It's
yeah,
so.
yeah.
Um, and what is something to round out these 3 questions? What is a trend you would like to see moving forward? A new trend.
Trend.
And we'll eliminate like the obvious ones, like no more clones. Like that's easy to see, and that also sounded very like Star Wars. Like no more clones. Anyway, but yeah, what's a trend? What's a keyboard or keycap trend you would love to see explode in the next year?
Hmm. I guess like innovation with keyboard design, like that new band, like the tape mod, like stuff like that. I think that the hobby's kind of lost that in the last year, like that experimentation phase, and like people trying new materials out and people trying new ways of making a switch sound the way they want it to sound, or a board sound the way they want it to sound. Like I saw Alex build last night, what was it, fiberglass case or something like
Yeah.
that? Yeah, really cool. Love that. New materials, like the forged carbon for the Baka 60 that 3D Keeps had put into IC. Like just getting these new things included into the hobby and seeing if it's actually usable and seeing where we can go from there. Just like innovation. I love seeing it. And I feel like that's something we missed last year. And
Mm.
like now we're starting to see a little bit more of. Like we also have that, like the glass case with that beautiful RGB you guys showed off yesterday that I saw Alex build and Apiary build. Stuff like that, like, just, like, let's get some new materials in here, let's bring some new life in.
Yeah, dude. Let's get some Corian.
Well, it's like, I got this knife in the other day, it's got, carbon fiber resin, and I'm like, "Okay, can we do something with that? Like, can I get a carbon fiber resin wrist rest or, like, an inlay in my keyboard or something like that? Like, that'd be fucking cool."
Yeah, for sure.
Yeah,
I think there's a lot of untapped potential, especially as CNC machining gets better and better.
mhm,
Like that's the other thing is like processes of making keyboards have gotten better, and because we have been doing so much with manufacturers, they know how to manufacture keyboards to a tighter tolerance, to a higher level, higher quality, so we're able to try more things. 100% agree. I always love to see new things. I always love to see, like I loved the Sirius and the fact that it used Palm, and that was like something that had been kind of flirted with, but had never really been fully messed with. And now that's like a material that's fairly common.
mhm,
Forged carbon. I keep bugging Josh from Project Keyboard or 159 for an FC65 because that thing is beautiful. But yeah, I'm down. Give me all the crazy materials. Let me try it.
right, yeah,
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Um, so guys, if you have questions for MechMauler, please don't be afraid to ask away in the chat. Or if you would like to ask us something as we continue on. So it is interesting. I do want to talk about this glass keyboard again because I feel like people are afraid to go away from the big three, which is aluminum, polycarbonate, and acrylic. And we've got a few stainless steels here and there. It's rare. I don't know if there's that steel board that still was having a hard time getting out of or wrapping up shipping group by. But it's funny that you say about the experimentation because last year I said at the beginning of this year, I was like, I feel like I stopped caring about trying to make different switches. I stopped trying different switches as well. And, with when it comes, I mean, making a board is difficult, but making like a new switch or finding a new switch to do, it just seems it's such like a moot point now because now there's
mhm.
so much that like I guess the question here is the mass availability of so many new options killing creativity because now you have a chance of finding something you like um, that's just in stock versus having to go out and make something.
Yeah, I think with switches, that definitely. I think that's like it's a good thing. It's a good problem to have because like we're seeing really good stock switches now, which was like kind of hard to get in the earlier days of the hobby. Like when I first joined the hobby, the switches to buy were Zeals and Black Inks and Creams. That was kind of it. That was the list. And make Holy Pandas if you can get the pieces to make Holy Pandas.
Yeah,
But like now we've got salmons, which I haven't tried yet, but I hear fantastic things about.
great switches.
Right? The penguin switches I have, they feel fantastic. They just need a little bit of spring work. But like we're seeing really good stock switches. So it's a good problem that we have these switches, but it does, like you say, like kind of stunt creativity because it's like, well, why am I gonna play around with switches and experiment with switches and put different pieces together if I can just buy these switches that I like a lot and they'll fit all the needs for me. Why play with it? Yeah. It's a good problem to have, I guess. because it's just like there's more options now, and it allows people to kind of play around with what they want to play around with and find the switch that's right for them.
S- Switch community is like so like convoluted right now too, with all the
Hmm.
different freaking options. Like there's seems like every day there's like 5 new switches, which is
Hmm.
nuts. What do you think, Dave? Think
I think it does kind of, I will say a big reason that I stopped trying switches is because I had people demanding that I try their Zyko killer switch. Um, 100% hand to God. At this point, I don't like. From Eric knows this. I talked to him. I don't care about the Zyko switch anymore. I haven't cared about it in a hot minute because there are so many good switches out there now. I still like it. It's still one of my favorite switches, but I can think of 3 switches right now, top of my head, with Anubis and Salmon and Neapolitan, where I'm like, and then Moyu Blacks, so 4, where I'm like, just get those if you want something super high tactile. The Anubis, I think you do need that small spring swap. But again, with the exact same springs, Moyu Blacks, like they're all using these symmetric springs, which I think have done wonders for the tactile switches. But it's there. It just comes to that point where you're like, it's just not worth it, And I think maybe that's we've talked about this in the past about just being like over it in the hobby of like wanting to do stuff. Like when you get in, you want to build all these boards and do all these things, and now I'm like, what's the simplest way I can put a board together and love it?
Mm.
Like what's the like not least amount of effort, but basically like I'm trying to like lavenders to me are like the best switch for someone building because I'm like you don't have to do shit to those switches.
Yeah.
You want to spring swap them, I spring swap them for it, but I mean that's a spring swap is easy. Lubing becomes a much different task. So I'm like I that's what being able to point people in that direction of oh you've got all these nicer options out there. It's just everything kind of comes together.
Yeah. Agreed.
So, um, but and then the other question I wanted to ask you. So I appreciate your kind words about the squid. Um, I have been saying recently that I think more boards should go after doing 1 or 2 things really, really well, as opposed to trying to make everyone happy.
Mm.
What are I'm curious to know your thoughts on that kind of statement.
I would agree. Like the Mode 65, I'm a little worried about that board. I think it's trying to do a lot. It's trying to appeal to a very wide audience. So it could either come out incredibly successful and everything they've done to do all the different mounting styles and all the different moddings and gummy things and whatever the hell they're doing. I stopped following it because it was overwhelming what they were trying to offer in that board.
Mm,
So I hope it does well because I think mode is a great thing for our community because they're being able to bring out boards consistently. But it could also end terribly. So I think that finding the one thing you want to do with the board and then doing it right, or like the 2 things you want to do with the board and doing it right is important. Because you will still sell the board, people will still buy the board because like with the squid, for example, it's a stiff typing feel, which is something I appreciate, and it has a really good sound to it as well. So there are people like me out there that will love this board and buy this board. Like they don't need to have oh, I can also gummy mount it. I can also O-ring mount it. I can also gasket mount. Like they don't need like there's people in the hobby that don't need all that shit. They just
yeah.
don't. Like they know what they like and they'll experiment every once in a while, but like they just want if they want the board to be a certain way, then that's how they'll buy it and they'll always buy it that way. So the Mode 65 like it scares me just cuz like if all those interlocking pieces and parts don't work, it's going to turn out terribly.
Mhm.
yeah. I mean, I've talked to the guys from Mode a couple times. I built a Mode 80, and they sent me the switches that they did. Um,
Mhm.
yeah, but I think they'll get it done. They're good guys. They do a lot of work with it. But yeah, I could
Mhm.
totally see that, especially like what's the one I feel like I'm interesting. I'm interested in asking because you're someone who got in after the times of the wild west of
Hmm.
keyboards
Mm-hmm.
when back in pre 20 really 2019, a lot of it was just you get a PayPal invoice from some random dude, you pay them money, and you hope it shows up. That's not the way it's been. And there's a board, and I don't know. I'm speaking. This is
Oh,
totally out of like pure speculation and just based on my experience in the hobby. This is super suspect. Some of you in chat may know the Chaos 65 keyboard. This could be perfectly fine. This could be a cool board, but this is a board that's super sus, and I'm interested to know as someone who's gotten into the hobby. What are your thoughts on people coming in? Do you think that now is an opportune time for people to come in and maybe prey on and get a little scamming, a little cash grabby
Mm,
in the community?
absolutely. I do. I think we're seeing so much growth, which is a great thing, but we're seeing a lot of young growth as well. A lot of younger people who may or may not know like what to do and like how to properly navigate an IC or a group buy and when buying something on PayPal, like not using friends and family. Like I know there are kids out there who will probably think, "Oh, that's fine because it's still PayPal." And it's like, "No, no, 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 no."
no,
Like
that's
I try to offer advice in every single one of my streams because I know I stream to a younger audience. So I always tell them like never use friends and family, always do business, pay the fees, pay the shipping, pay everything. Like you do not want to get screwed. You do
yep,
not want that. So
yeah.
I think I think a scammer could definitely come in here and scam some poor 16-year-old who's just trying to build a keyboard.
Mm. Yeah, I looked at this interest check, and the big one,
This is
it's
group
using
buy.
the
It's not even
yeah,
interesting.
group buy,
It's
sorry,
in group
group
buy.
buy.
I just sent you
Um,
the link,
yeah,
MechMauler.
I'm looking at
it the turnaround time's the one that scares me, and that's I don't think he's trying to scam, but I think it's a I think like now whatever he if he scams he scams, if he doesn't he doesn't. What I think he's doing is he's preying on the fact that there's such a high demand, and he's promising a quick turnaround,
hmm
regardless of whether or not the dude just runs off with your money. Um, the promise of the quick turnaround time is what scares me, because I'm like, you're literally just doing this so people can go, oh, I want to buy it now because that means I'll get it quick, and then it's locked up for many months. Who knows? This guy could already have these boards like on the way. Like
hmm
there's no telling,
Yeah.
but
All right.
he's it could also very well likely be a fucking 2 year group buy, because I've bought boards through companies that take 2 years. My suggestion is, if you're going for a first time group buy, try, unless it's someone that many people know, or they have like something to lose, right?
hmm
Don't go through a PayPal group buy,
No.
because PayPal, I mean, and I understand, I've run a PayPal group buy. I literally did this through the Squid 60 through fucking PayPal. I get why someone might not trust that situation. Like, I completely understand. There were people that reached out and they're like, how do I know? And I'm like, and I told them, I was like, listen, I fucking put my face on the internet. You know where to find me at least 2 days a week. So if you're mad, fucking come light me up. I'm here. And on top of that, I explained to a few other people that, like, hey, I want you to know that if I do this, I'm damaging not only my reputation, but someone else's reputation. And we're sponsored by a lot of people too. And there's a lot at stake. Now I just do it through a vendor. So it's a lot easier for people to go, oh, okay, I can make that make sense. But I would really avoid group, but your first one
Yeah.
Yeah.
through PayPal, and especially and then international is where it gets really,
Dude, that's the other
if
piece.
if you're listening from Hong Kong, go for it. Have fun.
Dude,
Yourself out, but-
he's the sole vendor, international,
Mhm.
uncapped from Hong Kong. And like it's one of those things, this all may check out. And this keyboard may deliver. It may not be a scam. It probably isn't a scam. Like at the end of the day, it's probably not a scam. But to me, it's like if I'm buying from some random person and it's not from a vendor, I am dirt. The production time is 90 days per 200 units, which is
Mhm.
nuts.
Yep.
We're talking about the Chaos 65. And it's how they handle the in between stuff, right? We've talked recently about the um Jax's board, the what you call it, a
The
style
Rukia. The
Rukia,
Rukia.
right? And like Jax is a good guy. He's a known community member. He ran Rukia R1 and it went pretty dang well. Uh, did round 2. It's had a ton of issues, and a lot of people are upset because of how he's handled the oh shit moments, right? And like that's the big thing that makes a a keyboard group buy not good is those oh shit moments, dealing with the things that come up, and buying from some random dude that's got 2 9x9 Instagram posts really of the keyboard, and there's no other information out there about it, like, and it's all run through him personally. You're like, what's gonna happen if shit hits the fan? Is he gonna pull a Teslatron and just dip, or is he gonna actually stick it out and stay front facing and make sure it happens and
Yeah.
put in work, put in time? You don't know. That's the thing that scares me.
It's or and the other thing too is what happens if he does deliver? You could get the fucking worst anno job. These
Mhm.
QC, congratulations. I don't care if you push out a board in 2 months. If the board fucking sucks, then you did a bad job. And not like the board sucks, like, oh, the design isn't great. It's like, no, I've got streaks of annos missing. I've got dents. I've got scratches. This is, I didn't read the whole thing, but I don't think there was anywhere about, and I wish more group buy runners did this, where it's, I'm going to manage the expectations now of what I consider A stock, B stock, C stock, and so on. You could be like that guy that ran, what was that Alps board where he had like F stock and G stock. What was the name of that Alps board? I can't think of it right now.
Oh,
Is the one Jay has?
The
the Lunar. I think it was the Lunar.
Yeah, where he had like G stock, where it's like, but yeah, I think it's important to manage your expectations of what you consider an A stock. For me personally, if I see a hook mark on the inside of the bottom of the case that you're not going to see when it's fully built, you're not even going to see if the plate's sitting in there, I'm not going to consider that a B stock for just that hook mark. Why? Because you're not going to see it, and I'm not Keycolt. Like, right. I don't have the ability to be Keycolt right now. So, and probably ever, but
their anodization shop's 20 minutes from my house.
Yeah, there it is.
That's bad for me.
So I when I see something like that where I'm like, these quick turnaround times, I'm like, okay, but like, how's your QC? Like what's the final product gonna look like? Okay, congratulations, you didn't scam everybody and you got the boards in people's hands, but how good is it? That's where those questions start popping up.
I'm a little sketched about it. He's got clone Metropolis as a render here. That I don't know. If you're putting clones in your renders, that scares me. Like, look at that 6 key and tell me that is.
I need to go back and.
That is how I always tell a fake, is that 6 key, because that will always be wrong.
Yeah.
The up arrow, what I can't remember the actual name of it, is never right on clones.
The carrot.
Thank you. It's never right on clones.
Interesting. My thing is I'm like, it seems, I look at this and it seems a little bit thrown together. Be weary, people. Having protos, having sound tests, even it being in the hands of content creators like the people that we're talking that we are, like MechMauler, us, Nathan Kim, Top Clack. It being in the hands of those people doesn't mean shit.
Mm-hmm.
Because I will point back to this again. Lumina, Nathan Kim built one, Top Clack built one. Teslatron came on and did a guest.
Who was it? Mr. Keeps.
Well, that was after. That was after
Okay.
this shit.
Mhm.
Even the designer came on and did a appearance on Top Clack, right? Like there was no intention for it to end up being the way that it,
Right.
but it still happened.
Right.
And that's why not having the backing of a vendor, not having someone that's there to check you and to make sure to be that support is rough, especially on an open group buy like this,
Right.
because it is an aggressive, very very aggressive first outing as a keyboard designer and vendor.
Mhm. Just
Yeah.
guys, just start with like 20.
Yeah.
Prove that you can start with 10. Start with 5. Run a prototype group buy. Get them, figure you've got a bunch of protos, but like I don't know. There's a good buddy of Eric and I's is about to run a smaller run. He's going to run like 20 boards because he says, well, one, I want to like get the experience of what it's like when a shit ton of boxes show up and you have to sort them and mail them out to people and then sit and wait and hope everyone's happy before you go and do a larger one. And that's the way to do it. Like it might suck that it takes a little bit longer, but I feel like in this hobby, the get rich quick and dip mentality has grown tremendously in the last 2 years, where it's like people figured out like, oh, you can make like some serious money on this stuff. A lot of times you can't, one, and two, they don't understand how much actual work goes into it. So when they just see the numbers and then you realize when you put yourself so thin on certain lines, and then all it takes is one kink in the chain for everything to fall apart. So, or you just spend all the money and never buy the boards and then live a happy life for a year and piss everyone off.
Yeah.
So,
I mean, I think our vendors in our hobby are so great that we're not going to worry about that. Like, we won't see another,
yeah.
I hate to say this, like, Oramex situation where he just disappeared, like,
Mhm.
off the face of the earth. Like, I was a mod for him, and he didn't say anything to me or any of the other mods. He just gone.
Yeah, that was pretty recent.
Yeah, that was end of last year, beginning of this year.
He did
He
the
had,
wrist rest, right? I think
yeah,
I think I have a wrist rest from him.
he did the Purple Storm and blood red wrist rests that turned out terribly, and at that point he just kind of disappeared. Like, I saw a picture of one of the blood red wrist rests that looked nothing like the proto that he had made for the photos for the group buy, and he just disappeared.
His site's up. Can you buy stuff or
I have no idea. I left the Discord finally because it just got very
everything is sold
nasty.
out? Yeah, I
Yeah,
imagine people would just. You can get a KBD fans tofu from Oramac
yeah.
in
He was
gray.
like
I would
building.
recommend maybe not doing it right now.
He was really building the products that were coming in, and we were all really excited about it, and then all of a sudden, poof, gone.
That's crazy.
Yeah.
That's
It
crazy.
stinks.
Yeah. Also, I went in and I found the lunar QC document that they did that had every keyboard on it. So they had 59 keyboards total, right?
Mhm.
13 of them failed QC. Like we're D or lower in terms of grading of quality control. So 46 out of 59 passed. And that's passing was C stock. So
Wow. I wonder how many were C stock.
I can tell you, I can count. Let's see.
Oh, really?
1, 2,
That's crazy to me.
4.
Yeah.
That's a lot of problems.
Yeah.
Because I can't even remember exactly how many squids were ordered, but 4 were like actual B stock. And those 4 got Cerakoted. Because I told the people that were, and then Lang's weight specifically had a small scuff on it, and he wanted that one. And I told the people that I'm like, hey, if I'm offering Cerakote, you're getting a B stock, but don't worry, it'll get fixed in the Cerakoting process. But how many C stocks?
7, which C stock,
Nice.
this is a not even a generous like C stock. This is like probably would be F stock for most, especially now, because we're talking about a group buy that was like 2017, 2018.
Mm-hmm.
This is moderate to major issues in the logo etching, banding in the in the finish, grain in the finish, and CNC or machining marks, and also the threads being dirty. So like that's all okay. And the bottom being minor warp is C stock in this board.
Wow.
That's fucking hilarious.
That doesn't pass now. That's throw it in the garbage and do it again.
I would send that back to the manufacturer.
Yeah.
I would take a bunch of pictures, send that to the menu, and go, what on earth do you think why on earth do you think this would be acceptable? And then send it back. And then I would show the pictures to everyone like, this is what happened. This was not what was promised. It's being fixed. Shout out to Burgess Latro, who did the Saturn 60. He posted these pictures. There was this finishing mark that wasn't supposed to be there. It was he was doing Cerakoting, and like the corners, he couldn't, like the Cerakoting person didn't get the corners, and he was like, I'm delaying this a month and a half because this was not what was promised. And luckily the Cerakote shop, like, we have it on contract of like what is expected, and it was not that it did not meet expectations. And I was happy for that. I'm like, that's what I want to see. I want to see people take that active, aggressive stance and go, I'm doing this to fix it, to bring you a final product. But I guess if you want to buy a G stock keyboard that barely functions as a keyboard, hey, at least he's managing his expectations.
Yeah, it's definitely interesting. I remember when this board first, it was available for a long time. Also, they sold these for like really cheap. Like C stocks were $215. B stocks were $265 or $275, where A stock kits were $530. So if that changes that shows you the variance in what they set as far as pricing for these extras when they finally were able to finish the group buy. Because I think the group buy was only initially for like it was only like 15 or 20 boards maybe total. But yeah, this was one of AIO3's first boards. People in chat aren't familiar with the Lunar. This was one of his first things, I believe. He might have done some stuff before that, but this was a big one that was a lot of trouble for him. But is a really cool board. If you get a chance to mess around with the Lunar, got like a, I don't know how to say it's scallop, but it's a curve.
It might be curved. I think it might be scalloped.
Is that what it is?
Okay, I see what you're saying.
The side, the whole profile of it is curves up. It's not a linear gradient. There we go.
That's cool.
Looks like a moon, Phil. There it is. So, but yeah, that's just, circling back to the Chaos. Is it with the Chaos 65? Which, if that doesn't alert you alone, like
the name,
the name alone might cause some problems,
dude. If you don't go if you go to that website and you're not like, maybe I shouldn't give them $300. I don't know what's wrong with you, because I looked at that and I was like, I could make this website in 15 minutes. And I don't know how to make a website.
It's so cringe.
Unique. The things to look out for. Any number above like 50 to 100 where they say 2-month turnaround, biggest red flag you can see. Biggest red flag. First time group buy runner, any number above 100, huge red flag. Like, look out for stuff like this, because there was a board that I don't remember the name of, and they said, they came out and we're 200. It's our first group buy. Where I'm doing 200, and it's going to be 255 for brass plate, brass weight, gasket mount keyboard, $200 at $255, and 2-month turnaround. I was like, this is gonna be either a terrible, terrible, terrible board, or this person's going to learn incredibly fast that they're about to lose a shit ton of money.
Mm.
So, but guys, if you have any more questions for us or MechMauler, please type them in the chat. I want to give a quick shout out to our awesome sponsors. We've got OmniType currently running GMK Symbiote right now and throughout this month. A very one of the most unique sets in this hobby of GMK sets that this hobby has to offer. So if you're looking for something a little bit unique and different, go check that out. They've also got some other cool desk mats and bags on there if you are looking for that. Project keyboards, you can go to mexondeck.project.link. GMK Bingsu Round 2 will run soon. So don't go grab a clone. Just wait for the real deal, because honestly, Bingsu is one of the nicest looking sets in person. Canonkeys.com/mexondeck. GMK is the last day, the last couple hours for GMK British Racing Green. So please go check that out. They've also got lavender switches are back in stock. The Anubis switch still there, still waiting to get picked up by y'all. So if you want some really good tactile switches, check that out. And the Devastating TKO got a big restock as well. And then, of course, Kinetic Labs. They've got some awesome switches. You can go to kineticlabs.store/mexondeck. They've got good switches. The 69-gram spring, symmetric springs, fantastic spring, not just for the Anubis, but for a lot of tactile switches. And they also have a lot of just utility that you need to build keyboards. So, and what do we got at the partner level?
So first up, we have got Zap Cables. Head on over to zapcables.com. Pick yourself up a DIY kit, as well as check out their other desk mats and stuff they've got over there. And then Typebeast, go to typebea.st. Sign up for their monthly newsletter so you can stay up to date with what's happening in the community, and maybe figure out if what's a scam and what's not, or what could be trying to take your money. But yeah, sign up for that newsletter. Go to smithrune.com, get more information about one of Mr. MechMauler's Grail boards, the Iron 165, as well as the Iron 180, its larger brother. And then also, they have the Polycarb edition of the Iron 165 will be in stock by later this year. So definitely want to stay in tune with them in order to get more info about that. And then last but not least, 3D Keybs. Go to 3dkeybs.com. They got tons of switches. They got stabs. They got lube. They got tons and tons of stuff. They're also running a DSS set right now. So go check that out. Signature Plastics, ETAs later this year. So that's kind of nuts. Is subject to change, obviously, but the DSS set. We don't see a lot of those. Go check it out.
I hope we see more.
Yes.
Let's get some quick turnarounds. We got from I Am Dirt, favorite tactile switch.
At the moment, Zycos. But we'll see what the Anubis brings when I give him a full test.
I mean, I'll say Anubis right now, just because it's the switch of the week for me. Usually Zycos have been on the top of the list, but after this week, I'm gonna have to do some serious soul searching, and I'm gonna have to like put them all in front of me and see which one I actually lean towards. I like mute myself so I can't hear it and just go straight off of feeling.
I'll say Anubis as well. Symmetric 69 grams. Although I don't have symmetric 69. I have regular 65 stock springs in the Bakaneka right now, but they're still great. They're still awesome. So that's it for me.
There it is. We have, what keyboard layout do you wish was more popular, or is there a dream layout?
Effortless 1800 would probably be my dream layout. I never use F keys, and an 1800 is really great for me for work. I just wish 1800 was more popular in general. Like I bought a wrecked 1800. I managed to get one on the aftermarket, but finding one now is just hard. Same thing with an Austin. Can't find an Austin.
Yep. What about you, Eric?
Dude, I don't even know anymore. Because like it used to be 75%, but those have been kind of bigger as of late. Yeah, I don't know. Maybe wind key, like full true wind keyless, the Bauer style wind keyless. Two more of those.
Ooh.
There it is. It's right here. 70%. It's not a thing, but I'm gonna try and make it a thing, baby. um,
So he's gonna trademark the PCB so he can collect royalties on every group buy from here on out.
I don't know if I could. They're so empty. The PCB is so empty. There's just nothing. For those who don't know, I'll hold it up one more time. It is a 60% with a symmetric or an F13 top row that is symmetric. So
I was trying to think of the last time I saw that, and you know when it was? It was the
there's
ALF
only like
board.
3. Yeah.
It was that ALF board that you could remove pieces,
Mm-hmm.
and it had the F row that you could just take off.
Yeah. There's only I've only found like 3, and one of them never ran. One was that one that was fucking massive. I don't know if you remember. It was like super tall, and I just remember the JST being this like huge thing. And then yeah, the one where it's like you can turn it into a Navroless TKL. And for the longest time, you know, I was like, I just wish that existed. Like that would be cool. But so that's it for me. Symmetrical 69 grams still, yes. Absolutely. All day. Favorite flavor of coffee ice cream. I thought, is coffee ice cream not a flavor already?
Yeah, I'm confused.
Archetype, can you ask that question again? Or like, I do love coffee ice cream.
Yeah. Good coffee ice cream. It's good. Any Ben and Jerry's coffee ice cream. So, do we lube the Anubis switches or run them stock? I just lube the springs.
Yep, that's what I did on mine. I want the Baka 70. Call it the Sim 70 layout. I would love to, but someone I know, the first person that builds the Baka 70 that's not myself or DD Decline is gonna put a 2U backspace on it, and it's gonna make my heart hurt.
I couldn't do that. I didn't do that with my squid. I don't think I could do that with the Baka 70.
I got really lucky. So I have so Davis, she bought Man of Interest. Huey got one of the original Bakas and then sold it to Davis from 3D Keeps. And she was like, I don't want the brass plate. I want something different. And so I now have 3 of like my original plate, which didn't have the shift option and it didn't have the 2U backspace option. So it's a fantastic. I love that plate, but I knew like going into this, I was like, I'm not going to be able to get away with that like no 2U backspace, especially on a board that, you know, I don't know how often I'm going to be able to run this because of the PCB and especially now with the fucking microtrip problem. So, but yeah, well, we'll wrap it up here. We'll finish with our final 2 questions that we haven't asked in a hot minute. So, and I'm gonna throw Eric a curveball and say, what is your favorite and least favorite part of this hobby?
You said Eric?
That's to you. Sorry, I threw Eric the curveball because typically Eric asked that question. So it's been a minute since.
So my favorite and least favorite part of the hobby. I say my favorite part of the hobby is the community itself. That's what keeps me here. Like when I see the flippers and I see the ridiculously long GMK wait times, which is nobody's fault. Like that hurts me because it's like I don't want to buy a set because I don't want to wait 2 years for $200 that I've spent. But the community keeps me going because everybody here is just so great. And then the least favorite part about it, I would say I don't really know. Like I'd probably go with just wait times in general. Like I think we've that in the past year has been tough, but like hopefully now that the world's returning to normal and vaccination rates are going up and like the amount of people that actually can go back to work for GMK goes up, we'll start to see lead times come down. I know that's like it's like the smallest thing I could think of too, because it's like it's not that big a deal because I am a patient person. But at the same time, like it's hard waiting for something you spent a whole lot of money on.
There it is.
All right. So I don't think I've ever asked this question before. Maybe once. The Office or Parks and Rec?
The Office,
Let's fucking go.
easy, hands down.
I'm so sad
can we
that it's
just
not on Netflix anymore.
yeah,
I
can
know.
Peacock just die slowly?
It
Like
probably will.
I'm I don't have that show that I just throw on now. You know
Yeah.
what a show is for me? I've just rewatched The Last Dance over and over and over as just like background noise.
Dude, can Peacock not just like exist, but give me like the normal amount of ads that I would get if I was watching the show on TV? Like,
Mhm.
let me watch your shows for that were free technically when they were released for free, but just watch a shitload of ads. Like,
Yeah.
I would do that. I would still put The Office on because it just
It's
is
just
there.
good background. Schitt's Creek is good, but the problem here's the problem with Schitt's Creek in a new show like this, right? When The Office was when I started watching The Office and when I was really watching Parks and Rec as well, I had more time in my life to sit down and absorb the show.
Mhm.
So the best part about The Office and Parks and Rec is I've seen it so many times that I don't have to like pay attention. I don't feel the need to pay attention. For a show I've only seen once or twice, I feel like I have to sit down and watch it. And then I'm like, I get distracted. Then I wind up doing that where I'm like, The Office, I'm just sitting there like going through the motions of like, oh, and then this happens, and then this happens, and then this happens. And then don't fucking turn on Scott's Tots, skip that. And then this happens, and then this happens. So like, I don't have the time anymore to sit around and watch a TV show like 5 times over
Mhm.
anymore. So except for The Last Dance, because it's only like 10 hours long.
But yeah,
Spaceballs the username. Communities on Netflix. Yeah, the first couple seasons you need to watch, and then after that you can just drown it out.
After like 5, it's like
Yeah.
you're good. So
the gas leak year.
yeah. So MechMauler, thank you very, very much for coming on. When are you streaming next? And what are you doing?
I'll be live tomorrow. I'm actually pushing my stream back from 7 to 7:30. I have another work engagement I have to be at, but we'll be prepping some more silent bobas for the Wrecked 1800. I'll be building that on Friday at 1 o'clock Eastern time. I got the day off, so fuck it, might as well build a board.
Hell yeah, dude.
Yeah.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. Well, guys, please go give him a follow. We are going to give Miss Mentlodica a raid. Looks like she's celebrating becoming an affiliate. So congratulations
Awesome.
to Mentlodica, as I will get that set up. Saturday, Eric will be building something.
I don't even know yet.
It's up in the air, right? So Eric will be building something at noon Central Time. So be sure to check that out and check out MechMauler tomorrow. And it's 7:30. You said 7:30 Eastern. So yeah, so
Yes,
that's 6:30 Central Time for everyone listening and on that Mechs on Deck correct time zone. So and thank you again for joining us.
Thank you guys for having me.
Absolutely. Well, we're closing up shop tonight. We will see y'all again on Saturday. So come hang out with me. Building a board. It could be a proto. It could be a Bower. Who knows? I don't. We'll find out. Find out next time on Mechs on Deck. Bye.
Bye.